Hey there, this is Joe Techie. I'm back again doing a review. Today we're going to be looking at the Auto-VOX B40 A118. I've been looking at different models for my vehicle, and after doing lots of research and trying to stay on the lower end of price range, I found this model and it appears to have a lot of good reviews and good remarks, so I decided to give this one a try. I figured I'd go ahead and give it a review myself and also share out some of the video footage that I'll be taking with the car as well. So what I ended up doing is I purchased this SanDisk Ultra Micro SDHC UHS-1. It's actually a Class 10 micro SD card. Okay, so that is going to insert into the camera itself, the dash cam. So I'm going to put that aside for now, but just so you know, this one takes up to 64 gigabytes. And I bought a 32 because I figured 32 would probably be plenty enough for what I need to do. So as a pleasant surprise, I found that when I read the box, it actually comes with an 8 gigabyte micro SD card, which is pretty cool. So I decided, maybe we can use that for maybe something else, who knows. So let's go ahead and kind of twirl around the box a little bit just to show you some of the markings on the box. It is fairly nicely packaged here. H.264 compliant, it's got a TV audio out, wide dynamic range, it's got a loop recording feature. It's got a 1.5-inch screen. I'm not exactly sure what that means, and it's got a 170-degree angle view, so it's a pretty wide field of view. And back here on the back gives you some of the specifications, which I thought was really neat that it gives you full 1080p recording at 30 frames per second. I believe it also does 720p. It does support GPS sensor and also has motion detection support. The GPS is not included with this model. I decided not to get it. It's something that I decided that I really don't need, so I decided not to get it at all. But it does have the built-in motion detection support, and it also has a microphone built into it. So it's going to record everything that's happening inside of your car. So you might want to be careful with the conversations you have. Anyway, let's go ahead and crack this open. Take a quick look. All right, so, okay, this is interesting. So there's like a little USB adapter here. Okay, and that looks like it's for so you can stick your micro SD card in there and plug it into your computer. Okay, here is the actual camera. Pretty small, actually. When I saw the pictures of this before I ordered it, I kind of envisioned this to be a little bit bigger for some weird reason, but it's actually fairly small, as you can tell. Okay, so let's go ahead and set that aside for just a minute. We'll see what else is in the box here. All right, so we got this insert here, and we've got a power cable that plugs into your cigarette lighter, which I don't think they call cigarette lighters anymore, but that's what we used to call them back in the day. Mini USB plug. Okay, and we have the user manual. It's also in the box, and we'll take a look at that later. Okay, now this is the cable management that you would use. You stick this to the windshield. We'll talk about that later, but you stick this to the windshield and you run some of the cables through here, and it's going to sit up by the windshield. It's got this sticky 3M tape, and this is the actual mounting bracket that will go on the back of the camera, which it's going to go right here on the back of the camera. Okay, and then we have some little sticky cable ties that we can run through the car. Okay, and a little white string and a screw inside the string. I'm not really sure exactly what that does, and it's likely that it may be like some sort of a release mechanism for the camera. And this is the actual camera, which I want to kind of go through. So here's the actual camera lens. So basically imagine go this way. Imagine your windshield kind of at an angle. Actually, it would go like this. And you have your camera. You can move this up and down. Okay. Looks like it's got a little reset button here. This is where the built-in micro SD card is already included. That's the 8 gig, and it's a Samsung model. That's pretty nice. Okay, so here's the microphone that's also on the side. And I believe this is a focus adjustment. I'm not exactly sure. Okay, no, that's the adjustment to move the lens up and down. So basically that's going to sit up in your windshield like that. And then the cable management arm is going to kind of go like this. So it's going to sit near your rear view mirror. Okay, and that is going to ultimately look very inconspicuous. It's going to be very hard to see from the outside unless you're really looking close. You'd be able to see it, but for the most part, you're not going to be able to see this. It's going to be out of sight from most people's view. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and cover some of the features on this, go through some of the menus, and then I'm going to show you some of the captures that I get from the car while filming with this attached to the car, and we'll close out the video from there. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at some of the features here in the menu so that we can have a good idea of what to expect here. So the way this works is you turn basically it's powered on automatically. As soon as you plug it into the car and the car turns on, it's going to just power on and start recording automatically, which is really good. Okay, so what you want to do is you'll want to hit the menu button. Okay, once you're in the menu button, you'll have a few different options in here. If you press it, you have a menu group here for your recording settings, then you have your general settings. So you can actually toggle back and forth by hitting the menu button multiple times. So just starting with the first section, you can change the resolution. Okay, and it goes through different resolution formats. Right now I've kept it in the 720. Loop recording, you can set for how many minutes you want it to record for. 3 is the default and seems to be the average. So I went ahead and kept that. The wide dynamic range, I left that on so that way it compensates for different light scenarios. And this is your exposure level. Right now it's at 0. I left that as the default. I did not touch that, but you can overexpose it if you like. But I'm going to play with it here at the 0 setting and see what kind of setting or what kind of results we get with that. Okay, so then we have the motion detection. Right now I have it turned on. To my understanding is as long as this thing has power and it detects motion, it's going to say if your car is parked and it has power, it's going to go ahead and just record and detect the motion. I'll have to play with that and to confirm to see how that works. So, and then we have the record audio. You can turn that on or off, but this is a default setting, so you wouldn't have to manually press the mic button. It would just automatically either be on or off. Okay, then you have your date stamp, and I have that turned on. And your GPS setting, which I currently do not have, so I left that off. And the G sensor. So this is where, for example, if you get into an accident, more specifically get into an accident or get bumped in a parking lot or something like that, it's going to take the video file where it detected that type of sensor, where it gets jarred or jolted like that, and it's going to basically lock the file so that it won't get deleted, or in other words, overwritten. Because what this thing does is it kind of loops through. It records a file, records a file, records a file, and then after it runs out of space, it says, hey, I've got no more space. Let's go ahead and overwrite the first file we wrote, and we'll just kind of go in sequence as we go along. But if it detects some kind of a jarring motion or something like that, ultimately, like if it was an accident, then it's going to automatically mark that file and save it for you so that it doesn't get overwritten. So you don't have to remember to do it. It does it automatically. And you can set the sensitivity level from off to low to medium to high. Right now I have it set to medium, and that was the default. And that's that. So let's go into the other setup options. So you have your date time and your format, and then you can choose your time zone. Auto power on or off. Right now I have it set to off. And the beep sound, which I had on originally, I didn't like it, so I turned it off. And language, we have English. And of course there are quite a few different languages in here, so that's pretty interesting to see that it does have multiple languages. And TV mode, I put mine to NTSC. And the frequency, I set mine to 60 Hertz. It was actually set to 50 by default. So I'll have to change that and see what kind of results I get from that. Screensaver, I currently have that off. And the format, what that does is it basically allows you to delete all the files on your on the card. Default setting, this basically returns everything back to the default settings. Now this one I'm not quite sure what to make of it. It doesn't really explain it very well in the directions. So when I initially came to this menu, there was nothing in there, it was a blank. So I went ahead and set it to 1, but it actually starts from 0, and if I left that like that, and then this shows the version, so this is the version that I received with this, and that's pretty much it. So let's go ahead and menu back out. Let's go ahead and take a look at some sample shots from the car. So that's the Auto-VOX B40 A118, and hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, and please like or please subscribe for more content coming up. I'll also have links in the description to where you can purchase this. There's several different models, so you may want to be careful what you buy. Some of them are branded and some of them are not. So I'll have those links in the description below. Joe Techie is out.